everybody. What's going on? Welcome in to Talking Trek Live. I'm your host, UltimatDJz, and tonight, spoilers abound. Episode 9 of Starfleet Academy, the 300th night, sees our cadets graduating their first year, but not before getting into some serious trouble. Good evening, everybody. Appreciate you guys all being here. Welcome in to the show. Appreciate you guys being here. If you have not watched episode 9 of Starfleet Academy, turn this off. Go watch it and then come back. Appreciate you guys all being here. Good evening. Welcome in to our esteemed panel of guests tonight. We've got the Bubba Joe and we've got Rebecca Plants. Good evening, guys. How are you? Welcome, welcome. The applause is for you. Good evening, guys. How are you? Welcome into the show. Appreciate you guys all being here. Thank you, Lura Thock, J-Babes, Newton, Jondrel, Lura Thock, and 100 more. Good evening. Welcome in, everybody. Appreciate it. I'm UltimatDJz, joined by Bek Likes Plants and Bubba Joe. Good evening, guys. How are you?
I'm doing all right. How about you, DJ?
I am absolutely fantastic. Bek's eating candy. Bek likes candy. What's happening? What are you eating? Candy?
I need it. I need it for tonight's episode.
Do you need candy? Tell me why you need candy for tonight's episode.
Yeah, I need candy. I need my energy.
Yes, I concur. I concur. I've got my energy also.
I need to hydrate.
Hydration. I can also hydrate, but I'm hydrating with Ghost and a little bit of water if I need it. But I've got more Ghost than water. Yes, those things are incredibly sweet. Where are the Oreo cookies? I'm out. Good episode, says Bowden. Yeah, man, that was some stuff right there. We're gonna get into everything tonight.
It was an episode.
What? Not good? You didn't like it?
What?
What?
I have issues with this episode.
What? Wowzers. Okay,
What?
we're gonna get into it. Real quick before
hang on. This is the weakest Jonathan Frakes episode ever.
What? Oh, where's the sit down and be wrong button? Bubba, no.
You have it wrong.
No,
just sit down and be wrong. You are wrong.
All right, we've got the button standing by, everybody. Griffin couldn't make it tonight. He is celebrating with family. Actually, had a big family anniversary today, so he's unable to make us tonight, but he'll be here again next week to talk about everything, as is Chicago Hearts, also tied up tonight. So you'll have to do with the three of us, but it sounds like there's not going to be any shortage of controversy here tonight, Bek, as Bubba Joe already dropping the mic on the weakest Jonathan Frakes episode of all time. You're going to have to explain that one to me. Bek, first impressions for you, just to go ahead and counter Bubba Joe.
I thought this was an incredible Star Trek episode. I loved it from beginning to end, especially all the parts where I was right. That is all.
Well, I still have yet to be vindicated. I still believe that Ms. Mir is the season big bad. I think she's working with Nus Braka. I think actually Nus Braka works for her. We're going to find out more coming up in 7 days. Bubba Joe, you thought this was a forgettable episode. Shelby agrees with you. Tell me why.
I did not say forgettable. I said it was the worst Jonathan Frakes episode. And if I'm going to be perfectly fair, I don't think that it was the directing that was at flaw. I thought that the writing in various stages of this episode was atrocious. I thought that they ruined character moments. I thought they reverted Caleb into modes that he had worked past. I thought that they just there was so much about this episode that I was just like cringeworthy, and like there were so many MacGuffins of, well, I've been wanting to test the starship with no people on it, so yeah, let's go do that. So that's a great idea. Like, didn't they used to have a crew for this ship? Like, don't you think that if the Chancellor said, hey, we need to go rescue some cadets, that each and every one of them said, let's go? Like, the MacGuffins and the
what's a MacGuffin?
Oh my God, DJ.
Go ahead and share with the class. You talked about MacGuffins the entire chat during this entire episode for the class. Explain what a MacGuffin is and why you think
MacGuffin. A MacGuffin is a story point or element that has no logical reason for being there other than they need it to move the story along.
Okay, so all of the staff...
They made this technology of having the ship be able to run on minimal amount of crew just so they could have shots of the Doctor and Ake and Reno. Like, that was the whole purpose of that. We don't need to have other crew in here. We want to have shots of just these three out and about in the ship. Like, that was the whole purpose of, like, it's like, you don't need that. You could have had the crew. Like, you could have had people on the ship doing the things that they're supposed to do. You didn't have to invent this for that.
They were with the cadets.
No, I disagree.
They were with the cadets.
I disagree, because every time in previous Star Trek series, when the ship is done doing its thing, everybody leaves the ship and the ship gets either refit or they do like the cleaning or whatever. I mean, like we literally saw it happen to where in a TNG episode, that episode where Picard goes back to the ship to grab something to avoid being at this admiral's party or whatever.
Yep.
And they had kicked everybody off the ship so they could, you know, like clean, decontaminate all the things, right? Like that's a very normal thing. Oh, it was to get his saddle. That's what it was. And he actually was going to get his saddle. He did not lie. But we see this in Trek all the time. Like they dock at a place and they all get off the ship and they only leave back who's necessary. They did the same thing for spring break.
That was a very specific in the TNG episode you referenced. That was a very specific. They were bombarding the ship with some sort of radiation that was going to completely destroy all organic matter, which was the purpose of doing it, to get rid of all the organic matter. So they had to get everyone off the ship. Normally, everyone does not leave the ship. Yes, the baryon sweep. So that was like an extreme exception. And after that incident, Starfleet initiated rules to not let everyone leave the ship at once because it's a security risk. This is like 900 years later. It's like, where's everyone on the ship?
That's fair, but we did see it already earlier in this season. So, like, this episode was full of callbacks from earlier episodes in the season. And earlier episodes, 2 episodes ago, spring break or whatever it was, everybody left. So, like, and I think there was even a brief mention of this being a thing. So, I think it's just one of those callbacks of, you know.
Thank you.
Doctor and 7 of 9 did, in fact, command Voyager solo. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well,
anyway.
we saw we saw Lura Thock. Didn't see her. We heard that Lura Thock and presumably the rest of the senior staff were getting the cadets off of the Athena and preparing for a Venari invasion. To be honest with you, they were all on defense mode on Beta Z. I would imagine also what we probably didn't see was Chancellor Ake kind of order everybody off of the ship. And to be fair, I could actually almost see your point, Bubba. Like the crew says, oh, we're with you, Captain, and we're behind you. But the show hasn't developed the senior staff in that way. This show's about the cadets. We haven't found a connecting relationship with the senior staff or the bridge crew of this show like we would have with other Trek shows. There would have been absolutely no connection. There would have been no sense of loyalty. There would have been no momentum or no gravitas attached to the fact that the bridge crew decided to stick around. I actually like the fact that the only bridge crew were the characters that we actually cared about. Everybody else, whatever. We don't care, right? They're not who we're supposed to be connecting with in this show. I also didn't mind that, you know,
so
it was
if you don't
Reno.
connect with them, they shouldn't be on the show at all?
Yeah.
Like, why have them in the pilot then?
Yeah, no, get them gone. So,
well, they were supposed to still be attending that ceremony because they said that's still on.
That's right, ceremony.
Right? So, like, they were all supposed to be there.
Ceremony.
There was no publicly authorized thing for the Athena to leave. It technically was not supposed to leave, and it was just going to be the bare minimum so that way they could sneak away.
Yeah, she was
right?
stealing the ship. She stole the ship.
She was literally stealing the ship.
Let's talk about characters we care about.
She pulled a Caleb.
Lura Thock should absolutely have been there.
Okay.
You are charging into battle.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. her girlfriend is there.
Lura Thock.
Like, no, she's on the ship. She is there. She
Okay.
is helping.
Lura Thock had the same situation that Jaden last week. There was a filming conflict, and Jaden was not in last week's episode other than like 2 scenes. This week, Gina Yashere was doing something else. She probably had a comedy show or something. All right. Yeah,
Which they did say at the very beginning, Ukeck did say, for Thock to specifically usher the cadets out.
Story-wise, that's what she was doing. I totally agree, Bubba, that Gina Yashere should have been in this episode. I can 1,000% agree, but there's obviously a reason that she wasn't, right? And the writing was that she was taking care of the kids. I think absolutely she should have been there.
Is just like, so last week we had the MacGuffin of Jaden just being written off and there's really no payback.
He had a cold.
Okay, like this bugged you last week, and I don't understand why these things aren't like blowing your mind this week.
No, I said I agree with you. She absolutely should have been there. This was a battle episode. It absolutely makes sense for her to be there. No, I totally agree with you. I didn't like what they did with Jaden last week. I don't like what they did with Lura Thock this week. I totally 100% agree. What I don't agree with is that there were no other supporting cast. You're saying, why wasn't there a full bridge crew? Well, the only one we cared about was Lura Thock, right? That's the only one that we really want to see there, and she should have been there. But the girl who swallowed her comm badge or the teaching moment officer, I didn't care about any of the rest of the bridge crew. Lura Thock, sure, but nobody else. I didn't care. I didn't care.
So someone in the chat's asking, where did the War College Chancellor go? The War College Chancellor was never there.
Never there.
He was a hologram. He was a hologram talking to Ukeck.
Presumably, he was back on Earth with the War College, because see, the War College doesn't have a ship. All right, so presumably he was still either there or he was on Beta Z with the security detail. It's probably that he was at Beta Z on the security detail, but the War College doesn't have a ship. The Athena?
What evidence are you using to say the War College doesn't have a ship?
We haven't seen it. And every time that we've gone into space,
it doesn't exist?
Obviously. And every time we've gone into space,
we haven't seen Navarre in this episode, in this series. Does that mean it doesn't exist?
Obviously. And the fact that the War College cadets always come in and participate with Starfleet Academy. Now, listen, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter if they did have a ship. The Athena was Ukeck's to steal. And honestly, Kelrick probably wouldn't have gone along with the plan to steal a ship. So if the War College has a ship, it was 100%. On Beta Z.
But he was never on the ship in the first place. He was a hologram when they were talking about the Venari Rall, and then of course he was obviously probably on Beta Z with his students, maybe on their ship. But yes. Whatever.
Eating
but
nerd
he was
candy
not there. He was not on the and I agree. He would not
energy.
have gone with them on this. He would have been he would have been very resistant to being a rule breaker.
Yeah.
Although watching that interaction between him and Ukeck would have been a lot of fun.
Just because she was stealing the ship and he would have been all willy-nilly about
like
it.
if for some reason he was there, like if for some reason he came up to get his saddle, right? Just to use that example. Let's just say he happened to be on the ship. He, needed to get something from his quarters on the ship, like whatever. And like they take off, like that interaction of him being there and being like, no, we're not going to cross into their space. Having that interaction with Ukeck would have been entertaining and fun. Not necessary.
He was on his own
I think
ship.
It would have been fun.
He was on his own ship.
I don't. Well, and it probably wouldn't have gotten that far, which I don't want to get down the rabbit hole. It wouldn't have gotten that far because the look that they gave each other and the goodbyes that they exchanged, it was he knew she was going to break rules. It was very unspoken between them in that moment. Like, I don't think there would have been a, no, you're not going across. Like, I think it was already understood that she would go that far.
With Kelrick?
Between her and the Admiral? Absolutely.
With Vance, for sure. I don't know that Kelrick had that interaction with her, but...
I was saying Kelrick, not Vance.
Yeah, now Vance totally knew.
The War College Chancellor.
Yeah, and
I
Vance
thought there was
supported
a point
it.
where she said goodbye, thanks for being a good friend, or something like that, and that
Charlie.
was with him.
That was Charlie Vance. That was the Admiral.
That was Vance.
Okay.
Yeah, that was...
For some reason, I was thinking it was the other Chancellor. Apologies.
But and Charlie knew. You know, Charlie knew that she was going to do that, and it seemed as though he supported that. So let's back up a little bit and figure out where we are here for those who want to hear this kind of whole thing through. The storyline is quite simple. We've got, and as Shelby says, somewhat predictable. What we've got here is Sam, who, by the way, is already going through some character change, and I gotta say I'm kind of here for it. But she's helping Caleb find these messages from his mother, and so he decides to commandeer a shuttle. We've got drunk Darem that stumbles in. We've got the volunteer hall monitor Genesis who stumbles in, and we've got Rebel Sam who joins him. And this is our motley crew here. They steal a shuttle and take it to Ukeck, all right, a planet where Caleb's mom said that she was going to be. Caleb knew that because he overheard the conversation with Ake and Kelric, that the Federation would not allow them to go after his mom. So he decides to steal a shuttle and completely just toss away everything that he has learned through one entire year at Starfleet Academy and steal a shuttle and go get his mom. So that's where we find right now Ake and Kelric kind of prepping for what's going to happen with Venari Rall at Beta Z, or what they believe to be Nus Braka going to be attacking because they finally discover the weapon that was stolen from Starbase J41. Right? J41, I believe, J43. So we've got Omega. Bubba, I want to come back to this
19?
Omega. J19, whatever it was, J something or other. I want to come back to this Omega. This Omega was a nice little fan favorite callback, going all the way back to Voyager. Had we seen Omega before Voyager, Bubba Joe?
Voyager.
Yeah, Voyager had. Did we see the Omega particle anywhere other than Voyager?
I thought this was the particle that Spock used in Kelvin universe.
No, that was red matter. Totally different magic particle. This was the Omega particle that appeared in Voyager that initiated a Federation-wide mandate called the Omega Directive. The Omega Directive said to basically destroy any Omega particles that were found because a single molecule of this stuff could disrupt warp travel, as Charlie Vance said, for millions of years. The interesting piece about this was the fact that in the Voyager episode, it was a molecule, right? A single molecule, not something that, you know, you'd super be able to like see, or I don't know. Voyager found it on scanners. How did one single molecule get turned into a mine? I found that to be a small little plot hole as well.
So it wasn't. It was. This was not a discovered molecule. They were building this. This was artificial. This was laboratory grown Omega.
He says synthetic.
Yes,
so,
he says synthetic Omega.
Okay, fine. Thank you for let's go down that rabbit hole then, Beck. If the Federation says destroy any and all traces of the Omega particle, why in Sam Hill are we growing it? Right? Why are we making it if it is this absolute destructive mechanism that will literally recreate the burn all over again?
Well, considering I wasn't around for the burn, there's like my thoughts. There would be one of two things. The same reason why there's a war college. Like, what do you do in case you are in a pinch and you no longer have allies or something along those lines? But again, I haven't seen Discovery, so don't quote me there in terms of how dire things were. Someone also dropped in the chat section 31 that also wouldn't, surprise me either. Like, it being a secret, top secret project. It's not the first time the Federation has had some questionable moves.
Which could also explain why Vance didn't immediately know what was stolen.
Could.
That if it was a Section 31 project, he might not be completely briefed to it.
Well, they also said that it was going to, when that starbase was attacked, they said it was going to take a long time to archive and figure out what was in fact taken. The interesting thing about this, aside from the fact that it did take them so long to figure out. How long are we after the Nus Braka episode? I mean, we're at the 300th day. We know that the Miyazaki happened before day 209. So at the very least now, it has been approximately 5 months. And it took us that long to figure out that the Omega particle was the one that was stolen. I still can't get over the fact that we have the Omega directive, but we decided to grow it.
Are months a different duration where you're from, DJ?
Prior to day 209, all right, prior to day 209. Remember, Sam was terminated on day 209. She had already been malfunctioning for 10 weeks, so we can presume that the Miyazaki was around day 150. This is now day 300. 150 days divided by 3, that's 5 months. Thank you for math. Math. Bam! Go ahead, Bubba. Go ahead, Bubba.
You are wrong. Just sit down and be wrong. You are wrong.
That's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months. Thank you.
We don't actually know that she wasn't glitching before the Miyazaki. We just know that it was worse after the Miyazaki.
10 weeks.
Yes, but we don't know that started with the Miyazaki.
I'm pretty sure we know it started with the Miyazaki.
It was exasperated from the Miyazaki, but we do not know that it started from there because she was hiding it from everyone.
Are we going to argue about the 5-month period of time it took them to archive?
I'm just saying. The point is that it's been a few months, okay? And again, if the station was destroyed and all records were destroyed and all the scientists working on it, a lot of them were killed or possibly, in a coma or whatever. It's not entirely unthinkable that it took them many, many months to figure out what was actually being worked on there.
Okay, fair enough. Bek, why were they actually growing? What would be the purpose? What would be the purpose of the Federation growing their own synthetic Omega?
I mean, I kind of mentioned it already, but I don't know how dire things were during that time. It literally could just be hey, we want to have some form of defense. Like, we're in a different time. I don't know if they obviously build new weapons for their starships all the time, right? Like, it doesn't surprise me if they're experimenting on other sorts of weapons or energy or different items that they can be using for something. I mean, the whole debacle over the Genesis device, why would you even create a Genesis device if it could be turned into a weapon, right? Same thing, right? We don't know.
I would argue that on the Genesis device. The Genesis device was meant to terraform planets to bring life
correct,
from
but it
death.
Also, right, but it also can be used as a weapon. So then it's one of those things of, well, why would they even develop something that could potentially be turned into a weapon? I'm not saying I don't know why it was originally invented. I'm saying, like, it's one of those, a double-edged sword. Like, why even make technology that could be used in that way? But
so DJ, why do laboratories that make vaccines, why do they keep live samples of the disease they're trying to cure?
Because they're developing a preventative for it. You think that they had Omega? You think they had Omega particles because they wanted to learn how to stop it?
I think that they had Omega particles for any number of reasons. It could have been that they wanted to have a defense against Omega particles. This is a very different universe we're in. There's no guarantee that someone else isn't going to find Omega particles and turn them against the Federation, right? So they could be looking for a defense. They could be looking for a way to minimize the effect. Maybe they want to just use it to zap someone's warp bubble and pull them out of warp, without having to rip them out of a warp field. There are lots of reasons you might want to use this sort of research either as a defensive thing or as a small scale, hey, let's see if we can do something that isn't so violent, not on the massive scale that Nus Braka is trying to use it for.
All right, fair enough. So yes, Bek looks cold. I see that in chat. Bek, you okay over there? You got the hoodie up over the hat and very cozy.
Bek is turning into the mom.
No, it's been
She's doing her best mom cosplay.
Yeah, I'm cosplaying today. No, it's just it's been a long time since I've gotten a chance to sit with just the two of you and heard like a real time DJ and Bubba debate back and forth. So I feel like I'm sitting and enjoying the show today.
Fantastic.
I got my candy, I got my refreshments.
All right. Well, we'll give. Obviously, we've got many more things to argue about as Bubba Joe is pooping on the episode. So let's move forward here a little bit.
Can we deep dive on Sam? I don't know if you want to go here or not, but I
Sure.
want to talk about Sam.
Absolutely.
You were 100% right last week. You're like, it's going to be a different Sam. It's not going to be the same Sam.
Thank you.
And I think you're both right and wrong.
I'm right.
Okay. So this is not the same effervescent 209-day-old Sam. Okay. It's not the same.
Yep.
However, like she got there and it's been what, 3 months, right?
Sure.
Because it's been from day 209 plus
that would be 91
days.
91 days.
And it's the 300 day, huh?
Oh yeah, because there was
209 doesn't
14.
count the 2 weeks.
That's right. 2 weeks.
It's like 85 days or so, right?
I love it. We're still counting days.
So roughly 3 months. So what is happening here? What was one of the last things she was saying on the shuttle before she glitzed out and had to take a nap?
She wanted to be humiliated. She wanted to live life.
And
she wanted to live life. And she wanted to eat food.
She wanted to rebel.
Yeah.
And then get saved by her friends, right? She wanted to be this person that she could take her own initiative. And so here we are seeing an opportunity for her to do just that. And she took it. So maybe this isn't the same effervescent Sam that we've seen before, but this is square on with what she told us she wants to be. And now that she has, 17 years of life experience, in the simulation that her and the doctor went through on her home planet, like now it's like, okay, now she's got all that experience and now she is a very typical young adult teenager who wants to rebel.
Sure.
And has never had an opportunity to do that when it was just her and the doctor.
I
found that like take that first opportunity and absolutely I'm going off on my own. I'm going to help someone steal a shuttle.
I think it goes deeper than that. And Beck, I'd like to get your insight on this. I think it goes a little bit deeper than that because even before that scene, we also saw that slightly uncomfortable exchange between her and Genesis at Jaden's soup party, where she told Genesis that she did not want to be a roommate with her anymore, that she just needed a change, she said. Then we saw the interaction with her and Caleb in Caleb's quarters right before she helped him crack the encryption. She says, I don't respect myself. I didn't respect myself. I wanted more things out of my life. What is it that you think Sam didn't respect about herself, Beck? What was it about her first 209 days that actually disappointed Sam now that she's 17?
I mean, she calls herself out for being naive in the past, and she mentions that she hated herself that way. She is looking at this now. She can have like full on total like memory recall. She can remember every single thing that she has done, every choice that she made, and she can, like, for lack of better words, cringe over every single piece that she now knows, like, what was better. I feel dumb. I feel like I don't like what I was, and I almost want to not be any of that. What I was someone who couldn't think for herself and was just told what to do, and I just followed people around blindly. And you gotta say, like, she's probably also questioning, like, her friendship with Genesis. Like, was it real, or was Genesis just babying her? Or, like, there's lots of those pieces, too, of feeling maybe potentially inadequate in that relationship, not wanting to come to terms with the fact of, like, I am very aware of how I was before. I don't like it. And me being me now, you're not going to like the new me anyway. Like, there's probably like a lot of different emotions going on for her right now.
I like that insight. Go ahead, Bubba.
I saw it more as if, so I don't know if either this happened to either of you. It happened to me, unfortunately a lot. I'm an adult and I'm hanging out with my adult friends. Maybe we're all going out to dinner and I'll bring them to, maybe meet my parents or whatever. And then they tell some embarrassing story from when I was 4, right? oh, when you were 4, you did the stupidest thing. It was so funny. You said that, the mountain must be the tallest one on Earth, and it was like 2 blocks up or something. Like, you said this out, or that's the tallest building in the world. It had like 5 stories or something, right? And you're like, I don't want that's so stupid. Why would I want my friends to do that? My parents think it's a hilarious story. They want to share it, and it's embarrassing. Okay, so here, Sam is the parent because she was the person doing the embarrassing things when she was there. She'd only been a few weeks old, and she's trying to absorb all this information. So she says things and does things that are immature, illogical, and they come off as funny because everyone knows that she's just being innocent, right? And so now she looks back and goes, boy, that was stupid, because now I have 17 years of a life experience. And I go, you're like, I wouldn't have wanted to show my friends that. Now I feel embarrassed because my friends have seen this like inner side of me. And it's like, I don't respect that person because that's not who I am. That feels very embarrassing to have lived that life. I think I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, Beck, because you make some very good points, but I think it's just really, I was a very embarrassing person because I was so naive about everything in the world. And I can't possibly respect, and I don't understand how you guys can respect me because you saw that side of me. And now I have a very different perspective.
No, I totally agree with you.
I like some of those points, but to draw one or two more back into the conversation, she had talked about really a lot of the stuff that Tarima had gone through in the previous episode. She specifically mentioned that she didn't have choice. This could be stemming back to her being sent as an emissary, right? Where she was instructed, she was given a mission and really didn't have a whole lot of choice. She had mentioned that particular thing, almost the same as Tarima had mentioned in the last episode, where she wasn't able to make her own decisions. So I halfway wonder if some of this, and then of course the chat is pointing out that she's no longer 3-4 months old. She's now, as Bubba says, the teenager. She's going through different moods. She's going through different changes. And we may start to potentially see a little bit of a rift. Up to this point, through 9 episodes or through 8 episodes, Sam has been, as you mentioned last week, the glue that holds everybody together. And now it's time for Sam to kind of have some of that internal conflict with herself. We may start to see some interpersonal challenges between her and some of the other crew as she's developed her own personal mentality, or her own personality rather, that may conflict with some of the stuff that she had done when she was 4 months old. So I think that is definitely something to call into the question as well.
So I don't think that she was programmed before. Like before, she was basically free to do whatever she wanted to do. They gave her a mission. She was the emissary. She was trying to figure out about the organics. I think she's talking about the 17 years with the doctor, where she did exactly like the doctor was raising her. The doctor was her dad. Like that's the relationship that a parent has with their kids. And it's like, you're going to do this. I'm going to raise you. This is the proper way to do things. I think that's what she's talking about more than the time, the first 209 days. I think she's trying to figure out, and she's afraid that her friends that know her from the 209 days, she doesn't want to necessarily be that person. And so she feels like she has to break off and start anew somewhere, which is, I think, part of why Tarima wanted to go to the War College. She wanted to be away from Caleb and anything on like her brother was going to go to the academy, so she was going to go to the War College. I think she was really looking for a break. I think that now that Sam has had 17 years with the doctor and she has these other memories that people really know her by, she's like, I need to separate myself from this. Whether that actually manifests into not being roommates with Genesis in the next season, that's an entirely different discussion. We have no idea if that actually comes to fruition or if she turns around. But I do think that this was not going to be like she's a rebel without a cause moving forward. Immediately upon coming back to the ship, she embraces the doctor and says, I'm really sorry. And I want to say she said, I'm not going to do that again, but maybe that's just my interpretation of the word.
He said that. She said that she was very, very sorry. And he says, it's okay. Never do that again. A very dad response that I thought, I love you. It's okay. Don't do that again. You know?
I really think this is something she just had to get out of her system. And now she's like, okay, well, now I want to figure out who I am. I'm somewhere between this person who existed solely with the doctor for 17 years and the person who existed for 209 days. Now I've done this rebellious thing. Let me figure out which of these categories of people or what combination of these different things that I want to become.
Well, we do see Sam very, very excited, if you will, about stealing the shuttle. Has to convince Caleb that she's coming along and uses her superior intellect and her mathematical skills to say, hey, listen, you need me, and we're going to go. Then, of course, Darem stumbles in. We've got Genesis, and now we've got this crew that's going to take off to the planet where Caleb's going to look for his mom. They sustain damage. They land on the planet. They split up. These kids are going to go try to find parts. You'll have to remind me, Bek, on the exact function of the Venari Rall here. They are a faction at this particular point. I mean, they're kind of like the Orion Syndicate, right? They're the bad guys. Do they actually have like a government? Remind me what it is to the Federation. Are these two factions kind of just at war?
That's a great question. I was still thinking about Sam for a second. I apologize because I was just going to finish off and say the one thing I liked about the new Sam is that they're very present, clear indicators of the Doctor's personality now in hers, and how she was framing things and delivering things. Like you could very clearly tell that she's got like that Voyager spicy, sassy Doctor in her now, which I really appreciated. They did a very good job writing her new personality with that together. On the Venari, they do seem like some sort of rebel faction that was on the outskirts of the Federation. Again, like I'm really bad to ask questions that are in this time period because I haven't caught up to that portion. But it seems like they probably mentioned this in the very first episode, so I'll probably have to go back and watch. But it seems like they're like a rogue faction on the outskirts that preys on people who are without after the burn, and that is how they get their power. So I don't know if Nus Braka like runs the whole thing or if he's just a part of it. That's the part that I don't really understand. But they clearly prey on the needy in this part of Trek.
I struggled, Bubba, to get a firm grasp on in this episode on what the Venari Rall is, because Ukeck was just a trader planet. They were under threat when Caleb discovers that his mom is on this planet. They were under threat of a Venari Rall attack. Then we get on the planet. The Venari Rall officially announced their annexation of the planet, and immediately they're looking for Federation spies. And I thought this was an interesting bit of writing. They even kind of said, like, hey, if you're not a resident of Ukeck, you've got an hour to leave. But those people were all okay to do their part. They were hunting the Federation on this planet. Explain to me how that makes sense for you, Bubba Joe.
There was a Federation shuttle in orbit.
Yeah, that's why they're hunting him.
Well,
they saw the Federation
I
shuttle
get that.
in orbit,
but if the Venari Rall,
assume that there were spies there, knowing the conflict ongoing with the Venari and the Federation right now. So, what would you naturally do?
Is there actual conflict between the Venari Rall and the Federation at this point?
The Venari Rall hate the Federation. Whether the Federation are hunting the Venari Rall or made any sort of formal war declaration, it's not relevant to the cadets, not relevant to the story. The Venari Rall are very much like the Orion Syndicate in late seasons of Voyager, or you could equate them to the Dominion from Deep Space Nine. You could relate them to the Romulan Empire, where they had the Romulans and the Remans. This is just another. This is the Yes, thank you, Enterprise. So, according to Memory Alpha, the Venari Ral are a group of marauders that are opposed to the Federation, and we heard that in the episode where they got ambushed. Right? He's like, "We hate you because of what you represent." Right? And I want to come back to that because that plays and rings true very much in the episode in the symbolism of what is going on. They hate you, and not just the Federation, but also there is a personal vendetta against Ukeck. But they hate the Federation because of what they represent. Now, I don't think that this planet was kind of just a planet on its own. Maybe it was an independent trading outpost, but the Venari Rall just decided, hey, we would like you to be a part of our thing. We're going to give you the opportunity to join us by basically saying you're now in our territory, right? We are declaring you as a part of our territory. But they showed up there. There is some interesting potential plot points here. Like, were they always going there? Is this related to the messages? Are the messages a trap? Like,
yes.
So I think that
yes.
there's absolutely
yes.
I think we're going to learn a lot more about Caleb's mom and the Venari Rall and what's going on in the next episode. We're probably not going to learn all the answers, but we are going to learn a lot more. But I think that in this case, it's as simple as there was a shuttle in orbit. They're looking for the people that were on the shuttle. Like, it's as simple as that, in my opinion.
Well, I do like the fact that you bring up the idea of what was her name? Anira Mir? I don't think that's right. Caleb's
Anashi?
mom. Was it? I don't remember. Anashi Mir. I like the idea that you think this is a trap because I am still full sold. Full stop.
Sorry.
Anisha Mir. I am still full sold on that she's been laying traps this entire time. Those 2 years worth of messages always, now granted, it could be that she was trying to find her son and she was trying to say, hey, this is where I'm going to be. But at every single one of these places, there could have been a trap in wait at any single point. And the fact that she's going to Ukeck and that the Federation shuttle lands and suddenly the Venari Rall are on the planet's surface, I absolutely think that it was a setup. Chat suggests that even they could have been a virus. Even the messages could have contained a tracking virus.
No,
they were already there.
They were already there. This was their territory. This is outside of Federation space. It is why it was off limits.
Right. It was outside of Federation space, and evidently there were, some sort of spy network or something saying the Venari Rall are here. They're probably going to take this planet. Do not go. Like, that was the warning that was in Caleb's pad.
All right. So
he was cleaning his glasses.
Chad is bringing up the fact that Nus Braka had already intercepted one of Caleb's messages to his mom. Now, I will point out that Caleb didn't know the encryption that his mom was sending to him. That's why we didn't know the messages. He very well might have used a different encryption outbound when Nus Braka intercepted that transmission for the Miyazaki episode. But this was different because Caleb didn't know what that password was. It was a totally different encryption that Sam helped him kind of think about from, that child's perspective. So that might explain that particular piece. But yeah, I totally think she's still the big bad here.
Not totally different. He said that before he heard that she had gotten out of jail, he had tried it multiple times and he had given up on it, thinking it was too simple and he needed to come with something more complex, and he hadn't gone back to it. So she helped guide him back to think like a 6-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Think of something that would have been personal to you and to her to see if that encryption key works. So she definitely helped, but this was something he already knew, right? This is something he'd already tried, just not since she had gotten out of prison.
Now, Chad is asking the question, did I hear right that the officer who was beating up Fish Boy actually said that she was going to report to Braka? And you did hear that correctly. So Braka is definitely very, at least highly ranked within the Venari Rall organization, if he's not the actual leader. But no, you did not hear that wrong, Tony. That Nus Braka was there, okay? Or at the very least, like, he ordered that invasion. He was there or involved in it directly somehow. So, and then, of course, all along, you've got this trap being laid. We saw the one Omega mine. Do you think, Beck, that it was Braka's intention to get Ake outside of that net? I mean, we saw 1 or 2 mines being laid. She leaves. Then suddenly we have this big entire net. And actually, I saw somebody in chat kind of predict that they were going to cut off Federation space. This net of Omega mines was going to surround Federation space and cut them off. Was it Braka's intention to have the Athena cut off from the rest of the Federation?
No.
Yes.
I don't see. People are going to go back and forth on this. The reason I say no is because Braka was already planning this before. I mean, unless he was doing this with the mom, but assuming that he was not doing this with Caleb's mom,
Which he was.
Assuming he wasn't. If you go down that line of thinking, he has no reason to believe that Ake would be outside of that. He has every reason to believe, as he said in the last episode that he was in, that she is predictable and she will protect the cadets. So for him, he would have every reason to believe that she'd be trapped in the net with everybody else. And this is a potential curveball to that plan of her being on the outside. Now, he's probably going to end up finding out now that she's outside of the net because she specifically called in via the comm badges and said, this is Chancellor Ake. And so that's probably going to make its way back to him, and there's going to be a whole other thing. But
So
I don't have reason to believe that he would assume that she'd be outside of the net because that was already part of the plan, and her being outside of the net was not part of the plan.
So I'm not convinced that the mom is completely innocent. Okay, I'm not. But
I go back and forth, yeah.
But if she is, there is still the potential that he's cracked this code. He knew these things and has been listening to these messages, waiting for something to respond, and that he was lying in wait for some random Federation shuttle to show up. And he's like, all right, now is when we deploy. Right now is when we're going to make this happen. So I think it's entirely possible that he was using his mom as a lure to get him out there. And once he was out there, he could know that Ake was going to go after him. Like,
Well,
that is something he absolutely could have done.
I agree with that, but I don't think that there is the assumption that she would already be outside of the net. Like, I could see it being the other way of him having, Caleb as a trap, but she's stuck on the other side of the net and feeling helpless or whatever, and then doing something beyond that. So
Sure, but I can see that, like, he would have used the fact that if Caleb shows up, Ake would go after him to try and get him, and that he could then spring the trap and keep her on the outside of the net. I think that it was very deliberate that they separate, that he specifically separated Ake from the fleet, and then further separated Ake from a majority of her ship. I think he's trying to absolutely remove every possible out that she has. He removed the majority of her ship. He's removed a majority, like, he is like, I want Ake. I still think, I had predicted, and it didn't go as I predicted. Ake is effectively captured. She's on her ship, but it's basically a shuttle of a ship, right? It's just the saucer section. It doesn't have the same capability as a full ship. I think this is all Nus Braka trying to get Ake isolated so that he can have Ake. I still think that's possible here.
Now,
we will
I
agree
think
to
that's-
disagree.
That's fine. That's you could be right. I also think there's the scenario where the mom is
What?
actually working with him.
Bubba Joe has never said those words ever in his entire life. Are you just saying that because...
Not to you. I've said it to Beck multiple times.
Oh, jeez.
So I think it is possible. I like that they did not reveal all of the mom, like, at once. Like, she has multiple layers we are going to see, whether it's in the next episode or even into the future seasons. Like, I think there's a potential here. Maybe she's good. Maybe she's not. Maybe she was partially a part of them. But it was very interesting that as soon as the guard goes, I recognize you, guns are drawn. Like, immediately she starts firing. Like, she's not going to wait for whatever the next words are going to come out of this guard's mouth for fear that the guard is going to say something she doesn't want to be known. I found that timing to be absolutely impeccable, to be like, that's why I think there's more here, that she could be working with Venari Rall.
That's a very good point.
She did not hesitate. As soon as she's like, I recognize you, Like, if this was just a stall tactic, she wouldn't have started
Yes.
shooting right then. But as soon as she's like, I recognize you, the guns came out.
Yeah,
And the gun,
she was trying to
the phaser
maintain her
started
cover
firing.
with Caleb and the cadets.
Yep.
This is
But then
obviously.
why would they shoot her?
Why does anybody shoot anybody? Make it look good, all right? But guess what? Now
She didn't die. She just got wounded.
She's on the Athena. Okay, now she's on the Athena, and that is like infiltration from the inside. I'm also going to point out that we saw this interaction between Caleb and his mom just a little bit ago, where she looked uncomfortable explaining that she owed Nus Braka, that Nus Braka broke her out of jail. This is before she probably realized that he was in the Federation. I do believe that came as a little bit of a shock. But now all of a sudden, Caleb's mom is also having to come to the reconciliation of, all right, the organization that I am trying to take down, because she is the big boss, the organization that I am trying to take down has got my son, right? That my son is involved with these. She was horrified when she learned that he was a part of Starfleet. And when she was explaining this whole thing about owing Nus Braka, I feel like that was a moment where she started to kind of maybe suspect the fact that he was on the side of Starfleet. She looked, I don't know, it might have just been a gut reaction of mine. She looked uncomfortable in trying to explain away the fact that she had crossed paths with Nus Braka herself and feels like she owes him.
She could have been like, it could be, she was very particular about when did you talk to Nus Braka? Like, what did he possibly have told you about what's going on right now?
Exactly.
Like, it is entirely possible she's a part of the organization, or it's entirely possible she's against the organization and is trying to work against them. Like, there's a lot of subtlety here that we don't know, and I'm okay with that.
Sure.
We just met her on the back half of one episode. There's gonna be more to be said. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if she's good. I don't know if she is a patsy. Like I said, it's entirely possible that she was using sending these codes, and Nus Braka had cracked it years ago and was like, I'm just waiting for Caleb to show up. So it's entirely possible that like she doesn't know that she was helping him, and it's also possible that she is completely innocent. I love that subtlety about the character. That was a highlight of the episode for me.
For sure. Beck, I have a new prediction for you. Nus Braka is Caleb's dad. I'm going with that.
I don't know. You know, in some ways, it's good that next week is the finale, because I don't know how many more weeks I can take with all of your wrong takes, man. They're just all bad. They're all wrong.
Shots fired.
Tell me
No,
why
really,
we're wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong.
Well, like looking at her behavior, it doesn't feel like I'm the evil person. It almost feels paranoid. Like, it almost feels like I can't trust anybody. I've been on the run for so long. I got out the dirty way, and eventually I'm going to have to pay back if he finds me, sort of thing. But also, like, before she left, she, like, was very clear, do not trust the Federation, because there's something that she knows or believes to know that is strong enough to make her react that way. And so, yes, seeing her son there with them is horrifying, and like part of me doesn't view it as a hey, she's the big bad, but rather just I have no one I can trust, they got my son. And then the only thing that she knows at this point, now I could see her turning and joining Braka from this. Like, I could see her turning and joining Braka to be like, they must be holding my son against his will, we've got to get him out of there, sort of thing. Like, I could see it going that way. But like, I don't see her as being orchestrating all of this. I see her as being an asset who's been used and controlled by her fear more than anything. Her fear and her need.
She's been used and controlled by the Federation. Like, she was made an example
Exactly.
of how she wanted in prison. So she is 100% paranoid. And you're right. That came across loud and clear. Whether or not she's working with Nus Braka or not, she is 100% paranoid of literally everything.
She's definitely got that, like, she looked at her son for a minute like, I don't recognize you. And you even on like when he looked at her and like was double checking, he even had some hold on, like, you've got to tell me, are you working with them? Are you sure? What else is going on? And I thought that was a very unique conversation that he didn't immediately run into her arms to trust her. He recognized they've been apart for however many years, 14 years by this point. Like, he was very much I'm a little hesitant because technically I don't know you, but also you're my mom. So very interesting interaction there.
Well, please go
I-
ahead.
I just want to bring up. So if we can take a step back here again. So this is, I told you, I did not like the writing in this episode. I found it flawed in a lot of ways. So let's just talk about this for a second. What was Caleb's plan?
He was going to run with his mom. He said that to his friends. He was going to leave and go with his mother.
Yeah, when he realized that his mother was in danger from the pad, his thought was, I will steal a shuttle, go save my mom. Haven't thought of what's coming next, but
We'll live happily ever after. Well, he even told the other cadets. He even told the other cadets that he was going to go.
I'm going to leave the shuttle. I'm going to go to this planet. I'm going to find my mom, and we're going to leave. How?
Well, it could have been on their shuttle, but also his mom was going to arrange.
Should have been on their shuttle. Why is he like what the whole writing of his plan
shuttle
was stupid.
Well,
it was so terrible.
She might not have wanted to go on a Federation shuttle.
I get that Frakes did as good a directing job as he could, but like this plan he has is I'm just gonna be with my mom. That's great. It's like, no, you are both under threat. They're coming to get you both. Like, you don't, like, what? If the plan was not to go back to the shuttle, then what was the plan? This plan is stupid.
At this point, I don't know that there was a plan.
Go to the shuttle.
Well, it might have been.
The plan was to get her, put her on the shuttle, they leave, and figure out next steps from there. His entire life before this point has been on the run, jumping from shuttle to shuttle, jumping from, like, ship, transport, whatever. His mom's been doing the same thing. He secured a shuttle. His plan, before the shuttle got hurt, or damaged, not hurt, poor thing. Before the shuttle got damaged, his plan was to go and get her, retrieve her, take her out of the threat, and then figure out the next steps as they went on.
So why does he split them up?
I don't think I have to interject. I don't think his plan was to take the shuttle. His mom had been jumping planet to planet to planet to planet, 2 years worth of messages, all these destinations. I believe his plan was to find his mom and maybe potentially count on the fact that his mom was going to be able to go from planet to planet to planet to get out of there. He even said in that room that he was going to go with his mom. He instructed them to go back to the shuttle. He said, you guys get out of here. I'm going with mom. We're going to go find this transport. His mom had already said, listen, I've got transport off this planet. I'm going to go get one more spot. We're going to go. I don't think that is a stretch for a plan.
He doesn't know that.
No, he doesn't.
It's not like he has a ship.
But she's been sending all these messages going from planet to planet. She said that she was, hitching rides on these other transports. I don't think it'd be a stretch, Bubba, to think that he would count on her to have a way off this planet.
They could have left and been back on the shuttle before they got there and been gone if not for him being stupid.
The shuttle was damaged.
They had the part to fix it. Like, they were ready to go, and he's like, I'm gonna sit here and insult you guys while my mom runs away, and we're gonna burn the hour we have to leave the planet.
I believe that at that point,
going on?
I believe at that point she would not have boarded a Federation shuttle. All right, I think at that point
she's not going to know she's boarding a Federation shuttle. It's not on the ground. It's in orbit. What is she going to do? Open up the airlock and walk into space?
She made Federation parts with her matter. I mean, she made the parts for them to get out of there. All right? I don't think she would have taken a Federation shuttle. For fear of the Federation is waiting for this shuttle to come back. The Federation is Caleb is going to take me back to the Federation. I mean, again, Bek points out she's fearful of Caleb at this particular point. Doesn't know exactly how deep his ties to the Federation are. She hasn't seen him in 20 years. So
they said repeatedly how smart Caleb is, and this is the stupidest plan I've ever seen in Star Trek.
I actually totally disagree.
I disagree 100% here, right here. This is an
emotional moment. All he's done is look for his mom his entire time. It is also just logical to assume that he just wanted to see if he could find her. Like, when he actually runs into her, you could tell on his face, and props to the actor, but you can tell on his face, he didn't actually expect to find her. Like, he was lost for words. He didn't know what to say. He was dumbfounded, and all he could do was just, oh my gosh, she's actually here. She's real. She's a person. I can touch her. She's present. You know, like, I don't think that, like, at that point he was expecting much. And then once she was there and in the flesh, it was, okay, now we got to come up with a plan. We got to get out of here. We do have the shuttle. She's probably not going to go on the shuttle. She hates the Federation. And he was probably thinking through it at that. That's why the first thing he did was ask about, you know, how did she get from place to place? How does she travel? So I think it is a logical assumption that he was just planning to go with her.
I think so, and not only that, but to support both of your points here, I've got two comments, one out of chat, which is, you know, Caleb has lived his entire life getting by. He actually used those exact words in this episode with his mom. Hey, I've just been getting by. I have done what I've needed to survive. I've gotten by. So that could have also been part of that mentality, Bubba Joe, is that he got down on the planet and was gonna figure it out. You know, this planet was actually more his lifestyle than anything at the Academy had ever been. This is what he knew for 16 to 18 years or however long it had been. This was his environment. We even saw in chat while we were watching the episode, like, he had the street smarts to be present on this planet. Even when the three cadets had been captured, he was out there, you know, acting like one of the crowd to get him out of there. That was street smarts. That was him, you know, knowing this lifestyle. So I don't also, again, I think that it could have been realistic to expect that he just thought he was going to be able to wing it. Where I will agree with Bubba that I find a small writing hole here, a little bit of plot armor, is they did spend an hour you know, or two on the planet and didn't just get the hell out of there, right? They had the part. They should have just gone. I don't even know why they didn't try. Well, they did eventually say that they couldn't beam back to the shuttle, but that's because the Venari Rall already had it. So once he found Mom, like, the first thing needs to happen is, let's get the heck out of here, right? So I kind of agree with both points. Bubba, this was a small little piece of writing that bugs me a little bit. They should have just gotten the heck out of there. I even wrote in chat, let's spend an hour hugging it out.
That they split up so they could get the parts? I mean, when he found his mom, yeah, he's overwhelmed with emotion, so that's not going to be an immediate thing he does anyway. But at that point, they were still going around the town trying to find
They
things
got
to fix
the last
shuttle.
part that they needed from his mom.
Right.
She helped them build it, and after they had finished it, that's when the announcement comes: the Venari Rall are coming. Everyone has an hour to get out. Non-citizens have an hour to get out. And, like, then his mom is like, well, I'll go talk to the captain, and he decides to insult his friends. And, like, if that's really what's going to happen, they should be like, whatever, and leave. No, they hang out, wait for Mom to come back, as if Mom was going to come with that, like, as if Mom was going to bring them along with her, which she was not going to do. It's like, there's no logic here.
Were they? I don't think they were still with Caleb when the mom got back.
Yes, they were.
No, they left.
No, they left.
Yeah, they had left
after they got yelled at, and then immediately tried to transport out and could not. And then Caleb finds his mom, and then they find out that the kids were taken captive. Like, it was all a very quick thing. Like,
yeah.
They immediately,
because
after they got yelled at, tried to transport out.
That's right. When the mom went to talk to the transport captain, that was when he took that opportunity to insult his friend. So let's talk about that for a minute. Yeah. Because I thought this was actually a really deep moment for Caleb. For the first time, I actually don't think he was being an asshole. All right, I believe that this was his way to get them to leave him. I'm actually
100%.
surprised. I'm surprised that Genesis kind of fell for that. Genesis was, yeah, he's just being an asshole. He's immature. But they've had a year together. Genesis and Caleb arguably have one of the strongest friendships out of the cadet crew. I was kind of surprised that she went along with that. Sam knew what that was. Sam knew that was goodbye. Genesis did not. But to me, this was Caleb, almost what he did with Tarima, right? He said goodbye to Tarima. He never expected to see her again. And I think that was similar to what was happening here. He was trying to make sure that his friends didn't try to take him. I think he wanted them to leave without him. Bubba?
So obviously that's what he was doing, but I still doesn't make any sense.
Why
you have a
not?
shuttle that you can fix faster, that you have no idea how long it's going to take for your mom to come back. He goes, Mom, I have a shuttle. Let's go. All right, let's go. She's not going to know it's a Federation shuttle. She's not going to know she's not going to know any of that. I have a shuttle. Let's go. All right, let's go. I don't have to go bribe the captain. I don't have to go fix his ship. I don't have to do. Sure, I can leave with my son. Let's go.
She already knew it was a Federation shuttle.
This did not need to happen. This immature reaction of I'm going to push him away, which we've seen before. Yeah, whatever. Fine. You're right. That's what he was obviously intentional. Didn't need to happen.
Bek, tell him he's wrong. She knew it was a Federation shuttle. She already knew that those kids were Federation. She looked at their fingernails. Genesis had on beautiful acrylics, okay? She knew that their fingernails were clean, and she manufactured a Federation part for their shuttle, Bubba Joe. Bek, tell him. Tell him, Bek. I'm going to sip on my ghost. Tell him, Bek.
I'm so disappointed. I feel like we didn't watch the same episode.
Which is funny. Bek says that every episode.
I do, but it's usually just to you, DJ. Bubba's usually always right. So, but this one breaks my heart. But no, she knew. I don't know if she necessarily knew it was a Federation shuttle. She knew it used Federation parts. She knew that. Was probably suspecting, I should say, that the kids were Federation kids. She didn't find out that they were specifically Starfleet until after the fact. But I mean, it all happened so fast. This was not a slow thing. We don't know that an hour actually passed. They just made that announcement and they caught them on their way out. This is not something that happened. I mean, she might have been gone 20 minutes, and it's very logical to assume that these kids, you've lived together, as college roomies, college buddies for almost, a year straight, being with each other 100% of the time. They started this episode bonding as a family. I don't think their immediate thought is, hey, let's ditch little brother who's obviously struggling with some stuff and get out of here. They're gonna obviously sit there and be like, hey, you don't have to be dumb about this. Just take your mom. Let's go. It makes sense to me. I don't know, but I might be thinking too relationally. So,
well, no, I think
I don't know.
I think you're exactly right.
We don't know that it was an hour. We just know it was however the overhead, and then all of a sudden it was there, right? So it could have been less than an hour. It's entirely possible. I just think that this was I think that if even before those friends show up, if Caleb goes, I've got a shuttle, my friends are looking for a part, we're gonna leave. That is infinitely more efficient than this convoluted writing that they did, because all she's looking for is a way off the planet. That she's constantly looking for a way off from one planet to the next, right? She's always on the run for whatever reason.
But she specifically has stayed away from Federation space entirely. She hates the Federation. She is terrified of them. They separated her from her kid for all of these years. I think Caleb, I mean, sure, a hop, skip, and a jump, that's a very easy, in my opinion, lazy way of writing to do it. If you just put her on the shuttle. It makes more sense that he tells us a piece about her character, that her hate for the Federation goes so deep that he could not put her on that shuttle. And I think that that's very important, and it's going to be something for the next episode.
Sure is.
That affects her choices.
Uh-huh. Because she's going to take over the Athena and try to destroy the Federation. End of story.
She's not going to take over the Athena.
No, I think that's wrong too. But I do think, like I said earlier, I really think that there's going to be a piece of this where she feels like, all right, I am stuck between two places. I'm paranoid. She's definitely got paranoia going on. I think if she's given the choice between going back to Braka for help and going to the Federation for help, she's going to Braka. And so she's now in the perfect position to do that. She sees that her kid has been taken, probably against his will, in her mind, to be a part of the Federation or to be a part of Starfleet. And she's going to contact Braka. That's like, she did not want to be on the Federation ship. So I think this is going to come back. I don't know.
Thank you.
Ice cold hate towards
Thank
the
you.
Federation.
I'll take that win. Thank you, Bek. I appreciate that very much. So we get the firefight. We get the kids back onto the Athena. In the meantime, then the Athena tries to take off. The Athena, I want to talk about the Athena for a second. Is this supposed to be the quote-unquote new Federation flagship, or is this just meant to be a study ship? Yeah, so
This is the
what,
school ship.
what
This
can
is
we
not the
assume
flagship.
about its weaponry?
We cannot assume anything about its weaponry.
Well, because
We can't.
it seemingly was very easily defeated. They took one torpedo, transporters were knocked offline. Took another torpedo, weapons knocked offline.
It's not meant for
Because
combat.
there's no crew.
Oh, yeah, there's also no crew on the ship, but it's also not.
It was fully
really made
automated,
for
Bubba Joe.
combat.
Reno said that. I've got automation procedures. It was fully automated. Okay.
Literally in the first episode, they say this ship is meant to also be a way for us to make new discoveries and scientific discoveries as we, travel. Like, it is not
probably-
meant to be a battleship.
Correct. It is not meant to be a battleship. It may have. I think we saw that it probably has reasonable shields, especially when we saw it fight with the Klingons. So I think that it has the possibility of being, maybe a lot more defensive. But again, we've seen the Venari Rall kick its butt multiple times.
Yeah.
Multiple times. Like, it is not a match for the Venari Rall. We know that. We've seen that now 3 times.
So the
And
Venari
Chat
Rall
makes a really good point too about, like, by this point, the Athena's probably known inside and out on its weaknesses. Like, Braka was literally on the ship and all the things. Like, there's
that's fair.
probably more there too.
There were 3 Venari Rall ships that tried to tractor the Athena, tried to capture it. We have a saucer separation, which sadly, personally, was not nearly as fulfilling as seeing the D separate. We could talk about that little bit of fan service right there real quick. Bubba Joe, was that an exciting moment for you? I actually felt slightly disappointed by that saucer separation.
We've seen it separate.
Yeah,
This
but
isn't the
this
first
was
time we've seen the
this
saucer
was
separate.
high stakes separation. This was battle separation.
So this separation was this comes back to Ake. This was a symbolic stripping Ake of her defenses.
Mhm.
That's what this was. You notice the tractor beams were in my opinion, strategically placed to remove this from her arsenal. I think this is part of stripping Ake down. This is what this is. This is trying to get to Ake, get to Ake alone. I think that's what this is.
So we lose the nacelles. We get the saucer separation. The saucer does still have warp. I saw that question in chat earlier. That's what they did to actually get away and eventually go hide in this nebula. Bek, what is Braka's plan for the nacelle section of the ship? Why does he want that specifically?
I mean, I don't know if he wants it for more than, and this is one of those parts where I probably won't be right on this, but you can tell just off of their interactions, he has such a deep hate for her, and I think there's also just someone to put it in chat, like, to toy with Ake, like, I beat you. I have stripped everything from you. You are now blocked from the rest of the Federation. You're blocked from the kids. You're not going to be able to support or protect them in the way that you have promised. And now I've pulled away your only line of defense that you had outside of that. Like, you are bare. You are vulnerable. And I want you to know it. Like, I want it to be very clear that I am the one that has the upper hand here. Like, I don't know if it's past that. Like, some people could say, oh, well, get the tech or place things on the ship so it blows up later. Like, you could say all that, but I honestly think that this is very much like evil psychological approach here.
Well, that's exactly what Braka has been known for throughout this first season, is the psychological warfare. We saw that very, very much in episode 6 where he played chess with Ake and he won. All right, he won again here as well, Bubba Joe. So far, Ukeck has played into his hand pretty much every step of the way. Now she's left with a saucer separation, a crew of, 2 officers and 5 cadets. And the entire Federation fleet is separated away from them. They are cold and alone in the vastness of space. So let's talk a little. You look confused.
How to count cadets?
Okay, hold on. Was it 5 cadets? 4 cadets. 4 cadets. No, 6.
Keep going.
6.
There you go.
All right. So we got a crew of 9. Right? 9. We got the doctor, Ukeck, Reno, and then 6 cadets. Oh, and Caleb's mom. You going to tell me that Caleb's mom can't take over 9 cadets or 6 cadets and a... You know what I'm saying. Anyway.
She killed like 6 people in the blink of an eye.
I
like,
know
that was
it.
Terrifying.
She's taking that ship. She's going to take that ship. All right, math is hard.
Oh, it was terrifying.
There are 4 cadets. There are 4 cadets. So, now what we do know is that the nacelle section had no personnel. She didn't leave anybody behind, as Chad is pointing out, because she even made that comment. Everybody is here with us. Everybody is on the saucer section. So she was able to get everybody out. The saucer section then escapes, and that's where we find the conclusion of our episode is with a very cryptic Mayday message. Bubba, I want to ask you as a big sci-fi fan, I saw this comment in chat that final message from Reno back to the Federation felt super familiar. Was that a callback to another episode? Was it a callback to another fandom? I don't know. That Mayday message just like screamed at me like I've heard that before. Am I imagining things?
I don't think you're imagining anything. I don't know that it calls back to anything I'm familiar with. But it could be a callback to something. I think that. So like this is also where I have problems. Okay. So first off, so someone was saying in chat earlier, and I was going to wait to bring it up now. So why can't the Discovery go save him?
The Discovery is off doing Calypso things. Sorry,
no,
spoilers.
It's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Just 100 days ago, it was saving people from the station that was attacked.
Would it be? They said everybody was pulled back into Federation space, so it might be.
So why can't it jump out of the net?
It can jump out of the net. Like that's the whole idea of the mycelium network.
I didn't
know. The Discovery has warp, but it also can travel on the mycelium network, which means it can instantaneously go from point A to point D, be on the mycelium network, which is not warp. It is like teleporting like a transporter from point A to point B. Okay.
Yes, Jules Verne is here. That's why Bubba Joe said A to D.
Rescue them, go back, and like, do they care about having this saucer section there? I mean, like, I think that this, like, if they were like this is like, why did this not happen, right? Why was this not a thing? And then secondarily, like, the idea of enveloping a region of space with a 3-dimensional region of space with mines. I'm so mad about this.
Yeah, I knew you
so
would be.
mad about this.
I guarantee
it's not like
they're
I
probably
knew you would
us.
be. Oh, I knew you would be
It's
mad
it's
about
not
that.
like we didn't have the whole major plot point of one of the best Star Trek movies of all time, where Kirk goes, he's not able to think 3-dimensionally, Captain. That's how we can beat him.
Yep.
This is all about 3-dimensional. You cannot mine a 3-dimensional space this way. You can mine a 2-dimensional opening to a wormhole. You can mine a 2-dimensional opening of a transwarp conduit. You cannot mine a 3-dimensional space like this. It doesn't work.
Technically, you can.
But every single time we have come to a spot in the show where we've thought that there's something that's left out, or a plot hole, or some hint to something that was not like actually explained, it has always come out the next episode.
Not this one. Not
really?
This
You
one.
don't think so? You don't think they're gonna not say something about the Discovery?
This is
next
physics.
Week?
Oh, the Discovery maybe, but the whole mining to cut off the Federation, the way they drew it on the map, it's like, oh yeah, they've cut off this 2-dimensional map of the Federation.
Yeah.
That's not how the space works.
Didn't you know space is flat, Bubba?
When they zoomed out, though, it was a whole like sphere. around everything.
Okay, so I understand this is 900 years in the future, and we have technology that we can't even imagine today. It is unfathomable that you could mine the 3-dimensional space of a space this vast. That is outside of the realm of possibility.
They were saying that they were expanded by like the space between the mines was being expanded by
the electronic
by like a field
signal
emitter or something.
It was by sensors that would trigger it if any ship tried to go past. That's the point of the minefield. It's not that there are mines that are right next to each other. There's space between them. But like the way that they showed it, on screen, the way that like it is not possible that they could have set this up in 3 months, in 30 months, in 30 years, in 3 centuries. The amount of space that they're trying to envelop is that vast.
Well, it happened in a day, Bubba. Get over it. All right. I knew that you were going to take issue with that because I was thinking the same thing. I mean, we've seen in other episodes.
This is not a Jonathan Frakes issue. This is a writer issue.
They've used warp times in other episodes when we've had other issues. Oh, it'll take us 16 hours to get here, or it'll take us 30 hours to get here. Federation space may not be as vast as it once was, but it's still big enough that it would take absolute weeks to be able to run a bubble around Federation space, just for the simple fact of where you would have to go to deploy these mines. So yeah, I actually did take a teeny tiny little bit of exception with that.
And you know,
as well.
if this was say, Babylon 5, where there wasn't a specific plot point of one of the greatest movies inside this franchise talking about 2-dimensional versus 3-dimensional, maybe it's forgivable, right? But this is the whole point of Star Trek 2.
Chat says that there was a mention that the mines have a multi-light-year effect range.
Well, then, obviously, the saucer section of Ukeck's ship is about a half a light year wide.
Yeah, no, so here's
it's not that large.
Well, the mines, the Omega particle, guys, the Omega explosion would disrupt warp space for that period of time, but that's certainly not probably how this net would work, okay?
And if you've got more than a handful of mines, and you know that half the fleet is at Beta Z, and probably a third of the fleet is at Earth, take 2 mines, throw them there, even if you throw them from like a week away, disrupt that entire space so they can't go anywhere, and now you've completely destroyed the Federation.
Wait. Everybody wait. Because I am in season 6 of Deep Space Nine.
Mm-hmm.
And Rom made self-replicating mines to block. Bubba doesn't like this. To block the wormhole.
So the wormhole.
What if we use that technology with
Wormhole's
the Omega
flat.
particle mines?
Wormhole's flat.
The wormhole has a 2-dimensional open
flat
orifice that you are moving.
But I'm saying using that technology in general for the mines. Like what is stopping us from having that piece of technology, that design, and then programming it across the way?
I love this.
You need quadrillions. I'm just saying.
I love this.
I don't know.
This is amazing.
So anyway, so I you know what? It was the ultimate betrayal of the writers, in my opinion. Like, there are probably things I could forgive. There are things like I really, really hated all the words that they put in Caleb and his mother's mouth when they first met. Mom, 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 mom. Like, just one mom and let them embrace. Like, let her, like, she's repeating the same words over and over and over again. Let them have one set of words and embrace and cry together and let it be an emotional moment. But they're talking through it.
Yeah, I got a button.
Let it be like
you are wrong. Just sit down and be wrong. You are wrong.
Bubba, they hadn't seen each other in 20 years. She's been sending him messages for 2 years. She had no reason to expect he was suddenly going to show up. Where have you been? Oh my God, I've missed you. I can imagine that I would probably
She didn't say any of those things.
She did. She said, where have you been?
The words
where
they
have
put
you
in
been?
her mouth
Where
were,
have you been?
What happened to you? What happened to you? What happened to you? What happened to you? What happened to you?
Where have you been? This is I can absolutely see like that shock and horror and that sudden reunification taking a few seconds, Bubba Joe. Now, not 2 hours, okay? Not an hour, all right? But hey, yeah, they can have a sentence or two.
It had the potential to be this super powerful moment as they're lowering the masks that they're wearing over their faces and they realize who each of the other is to them, that you say one word and then you let the actors, both of these actors are very talented, you let the actors' view of their faces come to the realization of what you're having. You do not need words to fill this space.
I think you're being picky.
Like, the writing of this episode was awful, and the decisions and the strategic decisions and the strategy, like all of this drove me up a wall tonight. Like I said, worst Jonathan Frakes episode ever. Not Jonathan Frakes' fault. He directed the best that he could with this terrible script he was given.
Oof. Okay, we've got a couple more questions as we get ready to wrap up on our time. I have a very sad nugget of news, Bubba Joe, specifically on the last line of your commentary just now. Bek, it was announced this past week that Jonathan Frakes has announced that this will be his final Trek episode that he directs, that he is not directing anything in season 2, and that he has no further projects with the Trek universe. He announced this week that this will be his final Trek directorial episode. Would you recommend that he do another? I mean, not that you have a choice on it, but you hated this episode. This is what Frakes is going out on. So
Frakes has routinely been the best director that Star Trek has. I am honestly surprised if they did not have him for any of the season 4 or season 5 episodes of Strange New Worlds. I will be surprised, which have already been done. Like, I guess if that's the case, that's the case. But he has routinely been the best director that Star Trek has. I don't know why you would not want to continue to use him. But
I don't know that that's Paramount's choice. He might just be retiring.
If he's retiring, fantastic. Thank you for all the awesome episodes you have given us. I will say that it is absolutely every time, every movie, every episode. Thank you very much, Jonathan Frakes, for delivering the best Star Trek that we have typically had since Deep Space Nine. Like, every time you were behind the camera, it felt better than the episodes around it. I wish this was not the one you're going out on. Does that mean he's not directing episode 10? Like you were saying, the director's working in Paris on this series.
Well, that is what has happened up to this point. Now, episode 10's director has not yet been publicly revealed. However, Frakes this past week did say that episode 9 was the last Star Trek episode that he would ever direct. And now, that is not to say that he hasn't already done something for Strange New Worlds. I guess that remains to be seen. But, I mean, he also knows when his projects are going to be premiered. He specifically said this past week that this was his last one. Kind of maybe leads me to believe that he has not been involved with season 4 or 5 of Strange New Worlds, and therefore not season 2 of Starfleet Academy. Otherwise, I don't know that he would have made that particular comment. Bek, do you have any thoughts on Frakes' departure from the Star Trek universe?
I loved this episode. I really did. I think partially because of just where I'm at in watching Trek right now, and I'm in the thick of Deep Space Nine season 6, and it's war and there's chaos and all the things. And this episode had a lot of like some of those pieces that I would see in Deep Space Nine. So I really enjoyed this episode. And coming off of last week's episode, which I like might be one of my favorite episodes of all time, just in general, I really enjoyed last week. I don't know, like really love this episode. I don't share the same opinions. I don't see the same plot holes. I think a lot of the things were done well and better than what I probably would have picked. Except for the fact of I really wanted to see Lura Thock in this episode. Like, just straight up wanted to see her, and I do love that they just threw Jaden and Tarima into a corner for this episode. Like they had like 2 lines. It was great. But not I'm being sarcastic on the great there. Like I love their characters, but uh it's sad. However, I mean, I do know that that he and Brent Spiner just started a podcast, and so it would not surprise me if that's just something that they're pursuing now. And because their podcast is not a Trek podcast, but it does have a lot of Trek as the foundation, and so it wouldn't surprise me if he's just looking to branch out and do other things. But I have no like insight there. But that would probably be a guess. And I really like the direction that Academy is going, and I think that Frakes probably feels in some way, and I don't want to assume anything, but all right, you kids, you got it from here. See you on the other side. You know.
Yeah.
It's also possible that he's just retiring.
And it could be. I mean, you know,
73 years
73 years old,
Like-
and as of now, and I will say this is not reporting or anything, but and I did ask Maya for this, but scouring IMDb, Geek Den, and a couple of others, he is not currently listed or credited with anything in Strange New Worlds for 4 and 5. He has said that he's not doing Starfleet Academy Season 2, which means that this is probably it, at least for any of the Trek projects currently in production. Now, I mean, if something comes later on, then, you know, but I mean, at that point, he would be 75 or 76. It very well may be that he's hanging up his nacelles and ready to turn that into a new generation. But I echo what Bubba said. His episodes, even in Lower Decks, were just absolutely phenomenal. His episodes in Picard, absolutely phenomenal. He is probably one of the best things that has ever happened to the Star Trek universe. And I personally thank you and wish you the absolute best of luck in anything that you decide to do in the future. It's been a crazy ride, and we thank you for decades of service to the Star Trek universe. You've been absolutely incredible. As we get ready to wrap up here, we predicted last week, Beck, that this was going to feel like a part 1 of a 2-part season finale. Somebody told me I was going to be wrong on that. I feel like we did kind of get that. It was not a to be continued. It was not a part 1, part 2 episode, but certainly ended on that cliffhanger. What do we see next week? This is it. Next week is the last one, guys. Is this going to end on a resolution, or do we see a cliffhanger into season 2? Thoughts. Bubba, you go first.
Okay. I think we're going to get a cliffhanger, and I still think Ake is going to, like, I had predicted she'd be captured in this episode and they would rescue her in the following episode. I think she still gets, I think she turns herself over to save her officers and the cadets. I think that is still a thing that happens. Whether that is she's captured because of the mom, or she's just captured outright by Nus Braka, like, I think that is 100% what is coming. And I really feel that this is all setting up to remove every support mechanism that she has, and he hates her so much that that's what this is leading to, and that she will be captured by the end of episode 10.
Beck, where do you see episode 10 landing us next week? Are we waiting more than a year, by the way? Release date has not been set. Production has only just begun, and it is currently expected to be more than a year before season 2 comes out. What do we see here? Do we lose fans with a cliffhanger because they have to wait too long, or do we get a happy ending here?
I think that this is tough because originally, like last week, I'm pretty sure I said, you know, a big cliffhanger between 10 and season 1. I think there's got to be a sort of cliffhanger that happens. Like, you just have to have something to look forward to for the next season. I don't think it's going to be anything huge. I think it's going to be closer to what they did for the season wrap of Strange New World season 1 into 2, instead of 2 into 3. And what I mean by that is in Stranger Worlds season 1, they did a small cliffhanger of Una being taken into custody. Sorry, spoilers, but and that's how they kind of ended it. And it was a soft cliffhanger, but you knew it was also a heavy cliffhanger. But it wasn't, the whole episode wasn't about that. That was just the end. But then whenever they went from season 2 to season 3, it was a very big cliffhanger because it had everything to do with the Gorn, right? So like it was a much bigger cliffhanger. So I'm feeling like this is going to follow that same example. And it's going to be, of course, there's going to be some form of a cliffhanger, but not to the crazy large scale. Because I think if it's following the same sort of setup that it did as this whole season has gone on, where like you get introduced to different parts during the school year, I feel like we've got to start over for sophomore year when we come back. So like it's got to have some kind of tie-in up with a bow to a certain extent, with some sort of lingering unfinished business, if that makes sense.
The Harry Potter franchise pulled this off. All right. There was always resolution, but there was always the big story. Just throwing that out there. Predictions from the chat says one of Caleb's moms is going to die. Grouchy Outlaw says we are going to see the return of the emergency command hologram.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's get ready to end on that. And your final question tonight for both of you. Bubba, you go first. Going into episode 10, let's look back on the first 9 episodes. Whose story has this been? I feel like this has been Caleb's story all along. I know that there's been character development, but we saw Mom in episode 1. We've now seen Mom in 9, presumably 10. We see Nus Braka at the center of it all. Has this been the story of Caleb Mir? Has it been the story of Nala Ake? Or is it, am I reading too much into it? Is this truly a story about the whole first class becoming a crew?
I think this is a story about the rebirth of the Federation. I think that it's not about any one person. I think it's bigger than that. I think it is about the Federation refinding its ideals and how that affects the everyday person. Caleb is the personification of the everyday person who has had to hustle his way in and out of, different planets and stay just one step ahead of the law because the Federation has abandoned the universe. The other cadets all represent other aspects of the Federation as well as young adult life. I think this whole series is about the Federation trying to reassert itself and support the galaxy. So I think that that's why we see so much Nus Braka. I think it's why we're seeing so much about the different stories of the individuals, because all of that plays into the Federation trying to find its footing. I think this show is about the Federation, not about any one person.
All right, Beck, love that answer, by the way, Bubba Joe. Very philosophical. Beck, where do you see the first 9 episodes of this? Is that currently in alignment with Bubba Joe, or did you see something a little deeper here?
My opinion is definitely similar to Bubba Joe's in the sense of this definitely has been about the Federation rebuilding. However, I think the story is on Caleb. And the reason why, though, is I think it's less about Caleb's story and more about seeing through his eyes, rebuilding the trust of with the Federation, right? Like we got to see the Federation be the villain of someone's story throughout basically this entire season. And we've seen somebody go through this entire thing of trying to learn how to trust, trying to learn what's real, what's not, what are boundaries, and now being faced with what we're likely having to find is a choice. The choice was just now kind of made for him. Like, he would have gone with his mom, no doubt about it, like, because he thought, I am still the kid. This is what I'm supposed to do. I've been looking for my mom this long. Like, I'm the kid and I'm going home, or well, not home, but I'm going with my mom, sort of thing. But I think this entire thing has been a looking at this through his eyes and recognizing that the Federation isn't always the good guy and rebuilding what that is. Like, even Ake has said multiple times, sometimes the Federation just doesn't make the right decision. And so we're just seeing a new Federation be built that will be there now for years to come. So we're looking at a literal new generation of Trek. Very interesting, but that doesn't really totally answer the question, but mostly just, I think it's very similar just through the eyes of Caleb. He'll find family. He'll find chosen family. Starfleet has always been about chosen family. And so I think we're seeing those themes here very much.
It's very interesting that you bring up the concept of chosen family, because that is going to be the basis of episode 10, Blood Family.
Oh, really?
Chosen family. Caleb is going to have a decision to make here. And we're very, very excited to watch that with you guys next week and share in the season 1 finale of Starfleet Academy. My name is UltimatDJz for all of us at Talking Trek. Thank you for being a part of our live studio audience. To the hundreds of you that have consumed the content, thank you so very much. And we look forward to wrapping up this season of Starfleet Academy with you next week. Thank you to my guests tonight, Bubba Joe, Bek Likes Plants. You guys are beautiful and amazing. Thank you. And we shall see all of you again next week, this time next Thursday night. Actually, I think shooting for a slightly earlier showtime. We'll keep everybody posted on that next week. In the meantime, thank you all for consuming our content and being here on the stage of Talking Trek. I am your friendly neighborhood cat person, UltimatDJz, saying meow for now. Love you, mean it. Have a wonderful night. Good night, everybody.